Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Skillet coming to you from X4 Foundations, the 7.5 beginner series. Things to think about, how to kind of start your playthrough, things that I actually do in my playthroughs. And before we get into the episode today, I want to cover where you could possibly be in your own playthrough. Maybe you're a little further than this. Maybe you're right on par with where we are in this playthrough here. But as you continue to mine, as you continue to trade, do missions, you're going to start gaining rep. Now, rep is very important for a lot of different reasons, which you could read here, or you could purchase. Because gaining rep allows you access to different ships, it allows you access to different weapons, it allows you access to different blueprints, it opens doors for you. Not every faction has the same weapons. They have some have unique weapons like the mortar blaster, blast mortar is what I meant. Blast mortar. There are factions that do have those, select weapons. And hopefully you have gotten your player HQ. And if you went with any of the Commonwealth starts or any of the Boron, you should have your player HQ in Heretic's End. I was chastised in a few comments letting me know that the HQ will start in its intended location if you go through the Terran playthroughs. However, I have not ever done that. So I apologize to everybody that has corrected me. I doff my hat to you. But hopefully you have your player HQ, because the player HQ comes with technology. And technology will become your best friend, specifically teleportation. Because everybody loves to EVA in their spacesuit. No, you don't. It takes too long. You're so slow. Teleport. There's a battle going on across the universe. I have a ship right there. Teleport. Teleportation. Instant travel at the touch of a button. Okay, maybe 2 to 3 clicks, but you are there in about 2 seconds. Because, you gotta atomize yourself and deatomize yourself. Did I say that right? You've gotta deatomize yourself and then atomize yourself. Because you gotta be out of existence and then come into existence, right? Somebody that watched Star Trek can probably tell me. But after teleportation, the hacking technologies are going to be where you want to go next, because this is going to save you money. Because if you've already looked at some of the cost of the blueprints, they are expensive, especially the ship production modules for, equipment docks, for building S&M ships, building L and XL ships, for maintaining those ships. Those are some of the most expensive modules you can purchase. And if you play through the Paranid storyline, which I encourage you to do, you are going to find that out real fast. But as long as you have a solid economy, a solid money-making tool, you're going to be fine. And again, maybe you're ahead of this. Maybe you're like, yeah, Skillet, I already know. So skip on, right? But hopefully, if you're new and you've been following along, you kind of have a gist of where you are. Now, stations. This here is a
Advanced Composite Factory.
This station does one job. It builds advanced composites. It has a production, It has a dock and another dock, a storage, another storage, a dormitory to help its production. This is a very run-of-the-mill AI station. We are not AI stations. And if you remember last episode, where we talked about, starting to think about where you're going to be building, starting small, taking a look at a sector and really figuring out what's going on in that sector and how you can help it. Now, let's actually go to a solar.
We found something out here.
Oh, hello. Really? It's, where's that guy? Where are you? What did you find? What did you find? Ooh! It's one of the racers from Timelines. Perfect. All right, let's actually take a look. So we built a run-of-the-mill, bare bones solar power plant. This is the same modules that you get when you start a playthrough, unless you start a different race, Talati or Paranid. Your modules are going to be a little bit different, but you're going to have the energy, solar per energy cell production. You're going to have a small container. You're going to have a standard dock. And you might have either a pier, a T-dock, or an E-dock. You're going to have something of that sort. So this is run-of-the-mill, very basic station. This station deserves to be upgraded. But this station is still making me money. All the green is everything that it has sold. All the red is the money it puts back into my pocket. There is no overhead with this station. So this station doesn't need to keep money for itself in its account. It just, at one point, gives it back. Now, you might say, well, why did you build it here? I built it here because I've kind of confined myself in this little series to Argon and Antigone. Where you should build solar power plants is a sector with no less than 100% sunlight. Now, there are going to be sectors that have more than 100% sunlight. Gaian Prophecy, for example, has 208. Now, with Gaian Prophecy and Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, the Terran sectors, Sagaris Pioneers and Terrans are very energy-hungry factions. Their solar production lacks when you compare it to the Commonwealth. And that kind of makes them a little more energy hungry, right? So here in Gaian Prophecy is a great place to put down another solar power plant. This will be able to make us a good amount of money. And just because we could probably go through, actually, what is this next? Let's get him to explore that next sector. We could probably even skip Brennan's Triumph, go to the next sector and place another power plant and make even more money. Because as we are able to provide for the Terrans and Sagaris Pioneers, their economy is smaller. Their production chains are not, their production trees, I should say, are smaller than the Commonwealth. They don't need as many things to produce ships or produce equipment. It's pretty easy. It's a very simplified economy for the most part. I know somebody's probably going to disagree with me there. But the more that you can provide them, the more they should actually be able to grow themselves, and then you can provide more energy to more stations and make more money. Easy. Now, where I find the most fun is finding that bottleneck in the universe, in a faction, in a sector. and trying to open that up to allow that sector to flourish. And that's where I really geek out. I'm not going to lie to you. I know it's not everybody's forte, but that's what I like to find. I like to find that roadblock for myself. And if you play through your game, at one point you're no longer going to be pirating ships. There's going to be a point in time where you're going to start purchasing ships. And you might start purchasing 2, 3, 4, 5 ships at a time. And then it's going to hit you. This shipyard doesn't have shield components. This wharf doesn't have field coils, weapon components, engine parts, a plethora of other wares. And it's not going to be the same throughout the universe. The Sagaris Pioneers might lack engine parts. You can't build the ship without engines. Doesn't mean that the Terrans will be in that same boat if you have enough rep with them. You might be able to get the ship, but you might not be able to use weapons because the Terrans might lack weapon parts. And that is something that has actually happened to me in the Accomplished Scientist series. Is the HOP was actually down on their luck with field coils. The God Realm was, I think it was engine parts. Talati, and it was the company, not the Ministry of Finance, but it was the company that was also down on its luck with field coils. But Ministry of Finance, able to produce ships like it's nothing. You're going to find these pockets where things are going to be lacking. And that's where I find my fun. And I hope you find your fun there too, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to take Second Contact 7, for example. This station has a demand for refined metals and silicon wafers. There is no in-sector producer for refined metals or silicon wafers until now. Now, this used to be a bare bones solar power plant, just like the one I showed you earlier. But we have expanded on this. We have rebuilt this station. Actually, we tore down the whole station and we're rebuilding it anew, where we can produce for that demand. And then we're going to be able to help Second Contact 7 become more profitable, more advantageous for more factories to come into this sector. But not only that, because we're doing this here, and there could be demand out in Flashpoint, or demand in Second Contact 11, or even Black Hole Sun, Argon Prime, we can send these goods out to other stations. We can start help building up the Argon economy, or even the Antigone economy, where then they can start producing more ships. They can start taking the fight to the Xenon, or to the Holy Order, or even Zyarth. This is where I find my most fun. But this is also where you can start making more money by taking a look at that sector, understanding it a little better, and trying to tailor what you build for that sector. Now, you could totally go down the route of being that mega factory builder that is super self-sufficient, and you don't need to do the small factories. You could do that. You could do that. But then your problem will most likely be logistics. And you might say, well, I have traders. Traders will only go a certain amount of distance or gate jumps from the station. So, what you would do is you would have storage facilities, or what people will call trading stations. Now, this is my take on a trade station. This technically is not a trade station for wares, but a trade station for minerals. I want to see how this will actually work in 7.5 because most refineries have their own miners. But again, as we've said for a few episodes now, as long as I can beat out those station miners, I might make those miners obsolete, which is my challenge to myself here. But how this trade station works is it stockpiles the ore, hydrogen, methane, helium, silicon. I don't do ice because boron are the only ones that really utilize ice, and boron aren't in... They're in the galaxy, but they're not incorporated into the larger network because their gates are still shut down. I didn't play through that story in this playthrough here. But these are everything that almost every other station's going to need to build something. And this station does take a bit of setup. It's not as cut and dry as, well, I have storage units and it's going to sell this. You have to click on trade or select tradeware. You have to click on what you want. And then if you're doing it like this, and you're only going to be doing minerals, you have to click on it. You have to click on create buy offer. You're going to want to click on the highlighted automatic pricing, and you're going to want to send that slider all the way to the left because you are mining the minerals. You do not want to purchase the minerals. You want to sell the minerals. So this station has a quote-unquote overhead of 12 million. As your miners mine and fill up the storage compartments, that will go down because it's based off of the manager trying to fill, but also trying to purchase to fill up to that storage limit. Your miners are going to mine it. Now, if you do wares, what you're going to want to do, and things may have changed, but you're going to probably want to play with your prices a little bit to either be able to keep wares stored in your facility, or just to try to get to min-max that price that you can get. Now, you can always go to your global orders and you can do... you can do blocks on who you trade with, so you can only trade with yourself, you can only trade with a certain faction. This is a way for you to be able to stockpile wares or minerals and then be able to send them either further down the line in the galaxy to a distant sector where your main production facility would be, a shipyard wharf, or whatever you're going to try to produce. Or you can just stockpile the goods and sell them to the individual stations that need them, whether yours or different factions. Stations. The bread and butter of the game. Now, this totally doesn't go into a whole lot of detail, right? In how stations work and things like that. I honestly feel like I'm lacking some things to pass on to you. But I do hope that you have taken what I have given you and you do expand upon that. Maybe something I said opens your eyes to something else. Maybe actually taking a second to look at your sectors to see what they produce, to how they are going to act. Because again, every playthrough is different. It's not the same. Maybe taking that just additional extra few minutes to really understand can really help change your game. Maybe it can help change what you do, or even how you think about factories and stations. Should have said stations instead of factories, but you understand the drift. But this is going to be Skillet signing out for now. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon. If you have any comments, place it down below. If you like the video, hit that like button. And if you keep coming back, think about subscribing. Sometimes we do cool things, or, I kind of talk a bit. I'll catch you guys again.